Greetings, fellow hypnotists and NLPers. This is the Brain Software Podcast, episode 263, coming at you from the Hypnotic World Epicenter, Toronto, Canada. My name is Chris Thompson, and today, Mike Mandel and I are going to discuss the superpower of a universal change method that we call ADAC that you can use to crush everyday problems and elevate you and others to your best selves. So stay tuned.
Disclaimer. Most people in life are at least nice, but there are bastards out there, and they know who they are, with their 24/7 attempts to stop us from saying Lucci. But here's what I want to know. Can you really stop us? Can you stop us at all?
Well, personally, I never try to stop anyone doing anything at all. Although, come to think of it, I did once stop Johnny Baboon from stealing the last of the cranberry sauce with a Sunday night turkey dinner. There wasn't much of a turkey dinner.
Ask the question we're paying you to ask, Mr. Ralston.
Yes, of course. Whatever happened to that wonderful old sense of peace and repose we used to know and love?
These are days of Lucci.
So please welcome to the center of all things hypnotic, the Christopher Wren of hypnotic architecture, the Trevor Tilling of trance construction, and the Keith Richards of hypno rock, His Excellency, Mike Mandel.
It's Jimmy Wanka.
I was wondering why you were wrapping up
Rolling
a
a fake
Post-it
cigarette.
note, making noise while I'm speaking, and I realized he's trying to roll up a piece of paper to make it look like he's holding a cigarette to do
or something.
the freaking Keith Richards. All right, here we go. Guys,
buddy.
Let's start with a quick announcement that we have our free community. It's called the Brain Software Community, and you can get there by going to MikeMandelHypnosis.com/free group. That'll redirect you right to the Facebook group. You can join it, and you can join us, and it's awesome. That's the best way to get started with what we have for you.
Yeah.
We're going to move into our 3 think tank words, which are going to hopefully inspire some useful conversation around the topic of this universal method of change that we are calling ADAC. We have some YouTube content on this, but we're going to go into a bit more detail.
And we're going to teach it in detail so people can use it themselves. That's the benefit you'll get, despite all our stupidity. We cloak everything, and it's just to hide our brilliance. Well, my brilliance. But here's the thing. You will have a method at the end of this podcast you can use on your own stuff in as little as 5 minutes and make real changes.
Yeah,
so
and you'll be definitely able to help others as well. And you don't need to be a hypnotist to use this. No. You can do this in what we would call the waking state. So that's the main thing we want to talk about today.
Yes.
Let's move to our think tank words, though.
Let's
just get these all up on the screen.
Okay, and these are not done through Sava Bukacek's think tank. These are done. Actually, I asked ChatGPT to give me 3 random words.
Oh, because you didn't. Oh, you were at the cottage, right? So
at the cabin.
You didn't. Have
so here's our 3 words: tree, guitar, and river.
I love it when they're all words I know. I'm a fairly well-educated man, but sometimes you present words that I go, I have no freaking clue what that is, Mike.
Yeah.
But tree, guitar, and river. Okay, let's throw them out there under the context of the topic for today. ADAC and hypnosis and NLP and helping people live awesome lives. So tree.
Okay, I got something right away. Okay. A tree. My wife was practically an arborist. She was an amazing gardener, won the best gardener in the GTA and stuff. And she would say that a tree needs to be pruned periodically. You need to prune the dead branches and so on. And what that does is it helps it flourish and grow because the energy is not wasted. It's like using ADAC to prune the stuff in your own life so you can flourish like a wonderful tree.
I love that. Which then leads to guitar. Yeah. And I like this alternative back and forth. Yeah. So we'll just each talk one word. Guitar makes me think about being in tune, right? So even the best guitars eventually will go out of tune, and also from heavy playing.
Sure.
The heavier that you play, you are going to cause some sort of deformation of the strings of the plastic nature, right? Because you get elastic and plastic deformation. So eventually, over time, you're going to need to retune that guitar. So what is it that you need to bring into tune in your own life?
Oh, well, that's interesting.
There you go.
And I like that. I'm not going to touch any part of that. Now, what about river?
Well,
does this make you think of that Netflix show Virgin River that you're so addicted to?
Virgin River? That's the name of a show?
I think you know.
My wife probably knows about it. She watches everything on Netflix. Yeah. She's always finding new stuff. River makes me think of a
River Phoenix.
River Phoenix, maybe. I was thinking just the flow of a river. A river has a flow. And it's a lot easier to go with the flow, isn't it, than to try to fight that upstream.
Like a salmon,
swimming.
Like a damn salmon.
Yeah. Do you want to be the salmon, or do you want, maybe you don't want to be the salmon, but you also don't necessarily want your whole life to be the freaking lazy river where you jump in a little raft
up in the ocean and die.
You just sort of don't control anything. So the river's going to take you where it takes you if you don't fight it, if you don't control it. But if it's taking you where you want to go with the flow.
I like that. Also, the whole thing of a river is you have eddies, you have slow areas that are sludgy, and you have where idiots are thrown in shopping carts and stuff like that. And then you have the areas that are flowing rapidly. I don't want to be the salmon. I want to be the bear on the edge, like scooping the salmon up with these enormous claws.
I love it. Which I think is what ADAC, which we're going to teach you today, will allow you to do. It'll allow you to find these areas. Oh, there's this fresh opportunity to make change.
Yep.
And here's how you do it.
And it works. And it tends to last. Now, let's Dracularize these.
Okay.
So tree, I'm going to give you the first one. I see it right away.
We have to play the Dracula game.
Tree to wood, to wooden stake, to Dracula.
Of course.
You take guitar.
Guitar to axe to...
Yeah, it's clever.
Name. Guitar to axe.
To cutting a vampire's head off and filling his mouth with garlic.
Filling his mouth with garlic to Dracula, sure.
Okay.
And river.
I've got easy.
Okay.
Easy. To river of blood to Dracula.
Oh, there you go. All right, there we go. And since we are speaking about the Dracula game, and I'd mentioned that my young nephew Samuel, who lives in Poland, was the one who came up with the Samuel hack, the cheat. River. A river in Transylvania, Dracula.
Yeah.
And this mug was a gift from my sister when she came to visit me.
From Warsaw, Poland.
Yeah, when she came to visit here in Port Perry from Warsaw. So awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about what is this ADAC thing. Now, this is an acronym we're going to be getting to, and we want to credit the source of this as we've begun to deconstruct our own stuff here. The source, as far as we can tell, is numerous NLP techniques that have this buried or hidden within them. However, brilliant NLP trainer John Overdurf did the research and calls this the meta pattern.
The pattern of all patterns.
Pattern of patterns.
That's why we call it meta, right?
Yes, but we call it ADAC because the 4 letters make it very easy to remember how to do this.
Yes, it is a much easier acronym, ADAC, which coincidentally is a lot like ACDC.
Right, and we'll be getting there. Yeah. Now, that's clever. Maybe we need a lightning bolt in between.
That's right.
Now, let's look at these key points for emotional transformation. When you get negative emotions about anything, a sense of dread about an exam you have to write, or fury at some idiot who just cut you off, or whatever it is, or people you can't stand, or fear of the dark, whatever it is, it's an emotion. And ADAC can transform those emotions for you and remove the negative charge, and you can do it yourself. Now, let's just say something right up front. You do not have to believe in this for it to work. It's not psychology. It's not suggesting you into thinking things differently. This works because of neuroscience, very sound neuroscience.
Yeah, so let's get right into it then.
All right. So we transform negative emotions by activating is the A, dissociating D, associating A, and collapsing or combining, which is C.
Right. So activate, dissociate, associate, collapse.
Right. When you think collapse, think of a house of cards just all falling together and getting all combined. Even if you made 2 towers out of cards and they touch and collapse together, you get a combination of the two.
Or what I like, we'll get to it in more detail as we go through this, but I like how when we were teaching it in Foundations Live recently, actually, and on the MMHA topical call this week, it to me felt like two competing fighters in a video game.
Nice.
And the stronger fighter, which we're going to get into it, but basically the collapse is one stronger resource collapsing another one.
That's right. The stronger resource, resource, which has to be strong, will overwhelm the problem, provided the resource is strong enough. Otherwise, you're just taking a little nibble at it and you want to crush that pecker, right? To use the psychological terms. So let's talk about activation first. Activation of the negative emotion. Of all of this, I said that the 2 mistakes are, first of all, thinking that you have to believe in this, but you don't, as long as you do it right. And the other one is, it's stupid to activate the negative emotion. There's never a good reason to do that. There's a great reason to do it.
And that actually led to the little comment I gave our students was, think about this, because in the certification exam, one of the questions talks about, well, hints at least, I can't remember the exact wording, but the root of it is, would you ever want to make someone's problem worse before you fix it? And the answer is yes, which is going to come up in more detail as we go along here.
Now, remember, we're big believers in subpersonalities, ego states, resource states, as the world authority, Dr. Gordon Emerson calls them, resource states. We all have a bundle of subpersonalities. And without going into all that, let's just say you have 100 to 150 of these that all were created in childhood, for the most part, and they all have existed for specific tasks. So when I was a little boy, I had an ego state that used to play marbles. And used to love playing marbles and would, scrape a path and all of this on the ground.
Maybe like a more common one that people can think of is the ego state that gets into a sulky mood. You sulk at something because you learned that behavior in childhood
when you're a kid.
Got you a result, right? So you're forming these different neural pathways that, when they become executive,
activated,
are acting out a particular role for a particular purpose.
Yes, and you can only have one ego state executive connected to your prefrontal cortex at any given time. And that's when you say I and point at yourself. You're pointing at an ego state. There's one active right now, either listening to this or not paying attention or thinking we're full of crap. But we're not. This is mainline psychology. We're not making this up. But when you recognize that, the reason we activate the negative emotions is otherwise, it's like the metaphor I love to use, the example. You have a family that is in crisis because one person is violent, or say it's the son, he's violent and aggressive and angry and has issues, anger issues, whatever, and he's 16 years old. And so you get an appointment with a world-class psychologist to help this kid, but he doesn't go to the appointment. His sister goes instead. And there's nothing wrong with her. And they do the treatment on her, and she comes home, and amazingly, the boy still has the same problem. And everyone's thinking about, she went to the appointment. Why is he still screwed up? That's what it's like if you don't activate the negative first. You're treating the wrong ego state. So when you feel it in your body, it is when you feel emotions in your body, like you feel all emotions in your body, that means that the ego state connected with that negative emotion is executive and can be treated with ADAC.
I'm waiting for the first person to email.
You said wending.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for the first person to email. I don't feel emotions in my body. I feel them in my coffee cup or whatever else.
Yeah, to which my response will be this: tugging at the invisible tie.
Not very interesting.
Not very interesting.
I think I may have heard you describe ego states that way before, but I can't remember if I have or if I just love the explanation so much. But the idea that person A has the issue, but person B shows up for the appointment.
For the treatment.
Man, that's a good metaphor.
It is a good one, isn't it?
Right.
It works well. And we would see that often with smoking cessation. Somebody would phone a therapist and say, I got to quit. My brother's got cancer. I've been smoking for years. I have to quit. I'm coming. Oh, you're determined? Yes, I'm coming. They set the appointment. And then it shows up that day and say, oh, I understand, Mr. Smith. You really want to quit smoking?
And they're Keith Richards.
And it goes like this, where he goes, I think I would probably say I do. What?
Yeah.
Different ego state has showed up.
So back to we're
back to activate.
Circumlocutory way of getting back to.
We're saying you have to activate the negative emotion. So have the person feel it in their body, and then what we like to do is intensify. What? You people are just crazy because you think. No. Here's why. When we activate it, it serves two purposes. We have the person feel the emotion, and we ask the SUDs, the subjective units of distress, how badly is it right now out of 10, with 0 being nothing and 10 as bad as it could possibly be? When you think of that spider, when you think of your brother, whatever it is, how bad is it right now? Not how bad was it when you saw him last. How bad is it right now? How bad can you make it? I can make it about a 7. Okay, can you push it higher? I don't think so. Give it your best shot. Push it higher. Yeah, it's like an 8, an 8.5 now. And when they do that, it shows them that they have power over it. If they can increase it, they can decrease it too. It's teaching them that lesson. And it's also locking that ego state into the executive. It's not just it's committed to it now, and it's easier to change them.
I was thinking, since this will get edited and then put up on YouTube and on our website, what we should do is, because I don't know if we'll do a full demo of it while we're talking about it, but it might be easier to just give a link in the description under this video to the show notes, and on our website where the show notes are.
Right.
We can link, Ross, you can link right to the time code where we do the actual demo. We were just standing here in the studio last week, and Mike did a demo for a specific YouTube video that teaches ADAC, and you can watch how, because we can now discuss a bit of a breakdown around it rather than doing it. So
exactly.
So in the studio,
post a link
when we were teaching this, and we switched into demo mode, and I said, I'll be the demo guy because I've got this issue.
So many issues,
And the issue was that my wife had gone out and bought these beautiful like cinnamon rolls from Costco, and they were just sitting in the box on the counter. And the temptation to eat one, especially
for her,
me,
for me,
you. The temptation, if I stayed up till like 9:30 or 10 at night or something like that, I would definitely start to feel a bit of a hunger pang. Like, oh well, don't mind if I do. Anyway, so how did we activate that problem? Right? You asked me. You said, well, go, just reenact it.
I said, well, so they're on the table in front of you, and you smell them, and you feel them, and you taste them.
Yeah,
like, how high can you make that desire right now if they're here in front of you?
There right now. Imagine it's 10 at night. Imagine that you haven't eaten since 6 o'clock.
Build
there
experience.
They are. You can see the frosting, all that stuff, right? You
put them in the microwave, warm them up.
Yeah,
little
and
bit
then
of butter.
I imagine it. That's why hypnosis involves so much imagination. But there's no formal trance here at this point.
No,
It's just imagine. You can do this in conversation. And I go, oh yeah. I mean, you can imagine doing this if somebody says to you, oh, you're hungry. How much would you really like a nice hot slice of pizza, right? Fresh out of that pizza.
I'd give about a 9 out of 10 right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can really embellish and get people to go, oh yeah, I really want one. I'm an 8 out of 10. Okay, great. Imagine you're holding it up to your nose and you're smelling it. And all you got to do is take a bite now.
That's all.
Oh, yeah, it's a 9, it's a 10.
Yeah.
So that's what we mean by activating and amplifying. Right?
And what I find so funny, just as a side note here, side loop, he's so concerned about these freaking cinnamon buns. Because here's the guy who's the fittest human being I know. He's nothing but muscle, but he's concerned because he's blown up to 170.
No, I'm like 180.
Oh, no. You should get to the hospital, man. You're in dire straits. 180. Well, I didn't know that.
You're just baiting me for that. Okay.
Of course I was.
Yeah, I'm 180 and I want to drop some. So there you go. There's my full disclosure. But
excellent.
I mean, I'm 5'10", so that's a very healthy.
You sound worried.
Muscular guy.
We have dealt with activation of the negative emotion. So now they're feeling it in their body. We go to the D in ADAC.
Right.
Dissociation. To dissociate is to imagine you are external to a situation. Now realize, we like to use the NLP maxim that the boundaries of your problem do not contain the solution, because if they did, you would have solved the problem already. The solution is always external to the problem. So what we do is have them dissociate. Imagine the problem is out there now. They're external to it, so they can get a fresh start and begin generating resources.
Yeah, and the dissociate phase or step, it's so freaking quick, right? So just to give an example, we didn't yet mention SUDS, but we'll repeat it. Yeah, subjective units of distress. Basically, when you're activating the problem state, you're asking the person to give you a number. How bad is it on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst thing in the world, 0 being it's not a problem at all. Where are you? And you make them give you an actual number, not, oh, well, I can kind of feel it. No, you get an actual number because that's your baseline, right? Then you amplify it, push it higher. How high can you make it now? Oh, it's a 9. Okay, wonderful. Now the dissociate piece, we would just do something as simple as this. And where do you, when you get to where do you feel it in your body? And they go, oh, I feel it right here. And then you just say, take that X, whatever they're called.
Whatever they call it.
Let's say it, cinnamon
that anger
roll.
or that.
Take that craving.
Perfect.
And put it down there, over there on the ground. You don't say, see yourself.
No, I say grab it, shrink it down, and shove it down way down there. Yeah, and the implication is you've reduced it in power.
Are they really moving it? No. They're imagining. You're just imagining taking this thing and making it nice and squeezed and small and putting it way down there, a bit of distance. Now, what does dissociating do? It's
dissociating.
Associate versus dissociate.
Down pain and emotions to a large degree. The more we dissociate from something, the less we can feel it. And our friend Hugh Comer, an excellent NLP trainer trained with Robert Dilts, says, if you don't get a small enough image or whatever you're dissociating from, if you don't push it far enough away, it can bleed over and the person can start to feel the emotions. We see this doing timeline therapy. You've got to stay way above the timeline so you don't shrink into the problem.
This makes perfect sense, right? The idea of it being a submodality. The modality, let's say, is, let's say the
associated versus
let's say the modality is kinesthetic in this case. They feel it in their body. We're kind of switching systems because we're turning it into something they might be able to see, but we're not saying visualize it or anything. We're just saying to take that feeling, that thing, and put it over there.
Yep.
Well, we're dissociating instead of being in our own bodies. It's over there.
Yep.
It's not part of us right now.
We don't say see it over there. We don't know. Just leave it open.
And a lot
Grab
of the
it,
times,
shove it down there.
I think most people can probably imagine the idea of visual dissociation,
60%.
looking through your own eyes versus seeing yourself in the image. That's another way to look at it. But all we're doing is dissociating very quickly, having the person dissociate from the problem state. And now it's imagined that it's down over there. That's it. It
Down there on the floor.
Takes like 5 seconds.
And I say, grab it, shrink it, and shove it down there. I want active. I don't
Do
say,
it with intention.
let it float over there very gently. No, grab it, shove it down there with intention. Use both hands and leave it there.
Right.
So now
what do we do?
they have
Why did I
dissociated.
snap like that?
I don't know, Paul McKenna.
We're going to switch in. Thank you. We're going to switch into building a positive resource state. We're going to associate the person
Yes.
into something awesome.
Something powerful. Now, we know from John Grinder's Chain of Excellence that changing breathing will change your physiology. It'll change your performance in anything because it changes your state. So we get the person to breathe deeply and relax and feel this is you at your best. Think of when you conquered and crushed something, that race you ran, whatever it was, feel fantastic. And I'm watching them. Their eyes might be closed. And I'm saying, now feel you at your best. Now open your eyes and stay in this powerful state and look at that thing down there, that thing.
Yeah.
How did it change, or what's the difference now?
And it will
have.
It will change. Now, you can go into a bit more detail if you want, if you have a longer amount of time. If you have more time, if you have a sufficient time,
greater quantity.
You can interview the person a bit in detail. First, find out what they're really awesome at, and then use their words. Feed that back when you're building up the resource state. You can do whatever you want here, or you can keep it really simple and just say, just imagine you're you at your best.
Yeah.
Feel
strong. You want
in.
feeling it in their body, feeling strong.
Yeah.
And whatever you need to stack on that by building powerful anchors here. This works because of quantum physics. Scary. I think I was every other therapist in the world who's never studied quantum mechanics as we
hilarious.
have.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Dr. Benjamin Schumacher.
Right.
Freaking
I
hilarious.
just about snorted in my laugh there. I think it was in the mic. Yeah. All right. So there you go. The non-quantum physics answer. We're going to activate amazing resourceful state, and that's the A. That's
and
the
now,
third letter.
while they're staying in that state, we collapse them or combine them. We let them crash together, and the powerful state will overwhelm the negative
and
one.
the instructions again were
simply
now hold on.
Hang on to this wonderful feeling, how powerful you are, and look down at that thing there and notice how it's changed. Something like that.
And name the thing. Like look down.
If they call it anxious
cravings,
or whatever. Cravings.
Look down at cinnamon rolls.
Their word. They choose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll see the surprise. They keep breathing deeply, whatever. And they go, oh yeah, like it's. You say, well, give me the number. What is it now? And I'm not going to say pull it back in. I just say, what's the number now?
Yeah. As you stand here now.
How bad is that?
There,
what is the number?
How bad is that now?
And you'll see people get this baffled look. They'll go, I can't hardly get it at all. So what's the number? Keep insisting.
Quite often.
It's like a 1.
It goes from like an 8 to a 3 or a 2 or something like that.
Sometimes it goes away completely.
Sometimes it's gone in the first round because this is something that we can cycle through, right? So we've explained activate the problem, dissociate from the problem, associate into a powerful resource state, and then collapse the two. The weaker dissociated problem is now overwhelmed by the positive, and the SUDs, subjective units of distress, will go down. And then what? What do we do after that?
Well, you've retested, so the SUDs, if there's still any left.
Like a 3. Let's say it's a 3.
Right.
Because that was my example.
We say, okay, now we put them back in another powerful state, have them breathe again. And I like using Freddie Jackman, his method. Hang on, I'm going to cough. I'm okay now, Ross. No need to cut that out. Our editor. We'll edit that out. The Freddie Jackman method, which I love, he says, think of the person or thing you love most in the world.
Yeah.
It could be your dog.
You
it
did
could
that
be your
to
wife.
me in the video.
Yeah, and feel that love. See that person's face in your mind. Feel how important they are to you. And watch the person when they're right in that state and breathe. Breathe in all that love. I love to say breathe in the positive emotions. It adds to the effect. So they do this and say, now holding on to that love and those great feelings, look at that thing now and what just happened. And they'll say, it's disintegrated. It's gone, or it's become transparent, like a bubble fading. And I'll say, now, why not just blow it all to dust and blow it away? And they will. And they'll, okay, now breathe. How do you feel now? So try to get it back. We say try because
it
try implies failure. Yes.
Right. So even if they try to get it back, and let's say they succeed in getting it back to like a 1 or something like that. That's usually what happens.
I'm looking at the monitor only because I'm trying to figure out how long we've been going.
Yeah, I have no idea.
No idea.
I don't know.
Because we have a special report we should get.
Okay, let's do that because we've essentially described the ADAC. That's important. We gave you a lot of values. Yeah, we'll talk about some uses of it, but let's go to our special report from Hypno North, Meaford, Ontario, with roving reporter Brado on his iPhone 6.
Yeah, how are you tonight? Thanks once again. Well, as your old pal Brado here with an update on everything hypnosis related here in the land of conferences that go off the effing rails. You heard me. Well, turns out that the conference that me, Eddard, and Duda were running at the Best Western is canceled. At least what those two jackwagons told me when I asked what they were talking about. And they took off in Eddard's ride-em lawnmower before I could grab them. And they rode away doing their hyena laughs and waving their arms like they're in a grain elevator or something. So let's discuss the horror I've gone through and how dickish I feel on the eve of what was supposed to be the world's foremost hypnosis convention right here in Grey County. I phoned the Best Western. They didn't know anything about the cancellation, probably because they didn't know anything about the conference in the first place. So Eddard and Duder kept the 10 grand I got from remortgaging my dairy farm and used it to buy hundreds of cartons of cigarettes, presumably to ensure they'll have enough lung ailments for the rest of their lousy coughing and baboon laughing lives. So no Larry and Cheryl Lemon, no James Tripp, no Jacquins, no thousands of people attending, no worldwide fame, no millions of dollars, nothing. But I'm going after him now in my Dodge Ram because even though it's not firing on all cylinders like those two dicks, it's faster than their stupid lawnmower. This is your old pal Brado saying thanks once again. Stay tuned and good night.
All right, and we are back. So let's continue on then with ADAC. We talked about how you do it. Let's talk about some applications, and let's also talk about some.
The reason why it works.
Mistakes.
Let's talk about why it works.
All right.
The mistakes.
All right.
Why does it even work in the first place? Because, like we said, when you are thinking of the problem state and associating into it, you are lighting up the neural circuitry in your brain. You're turning on the lights, so to speak, of the bad thing.
Turn the lights back on.
Yeah. Your brain is making new neuronal connections at the rate of about 1 million per second on average, which is amazing. Having said that, so you activate the negative state, and then when you push it away, it's still humming in the background. The circuitry is on. And when you then do an empowerment shift, you put yourself in a really powerful state by changing your breathing and so on.
Yeah.
Then when you combine them together, you are putting a neural pathway between the two, at least one, almost instantly. Your brain creates it.
Yeah.
Now it brings resources into the situation.
You're creating a competing situation. You're creating a contest between the strong and the weak.
By connecting them.
Right? Yeah,
Yes.
by connecting them, and then the weak will lose. And it reminds me of playing a video game where there was like two karate fighters or whatever, and you're attacking the computer fighter, and his energy level's dropping every time you strike him.
I'm leg kicking him. Earls.
What game is that?
Oh, it's quite like
Whatever.
one of those fighter early ones.
One of those.
It's hilarious.
80s or something. Yeah, so that's what it makes me think of. That's how it works in the brain.
Earls?
Right? Oh, all right. There we go.
Who does the best Earls of anyone?
Timothy
September.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get him to do it sometime.
Yeah.
Earls is fantastic. So it's effective because it's leveraging neuroplasticity, the way your brain works.
Yes.
And it's bringing contrasting emotions together, which brings lasting change. It's impossible for it not to change, even though you may have to repeat a couple of times.
I like neuroplasticity, and then we can use Melissa Teer's phrase, if you do this for your own use, self-directed neuroplasticity.
Nice.
Right? In other words, it's like self-hypnosis, but
more.
Self-ADAC.
But more so.
Self-directed neuroplasticity. Change your brain by yourself.
Change your brain, change your life, children.
That's right.
That's
All right. So what do we got here? Do you want to talk about some common mistakes, some applications?
Yeah, what are you going to throw it at? You can throw it at phobias and fears.
How about things like someone who drags their ass to get out of bed in the morning? They just stay under the covers and really think, and you want to be motivated to get up, so you can do ADAC on that, whatever you call it. I mean, if you call it drag your ass, then call it drag your ass. Name it.
Right. You name it.
It means something to you. Why do we name it, Mike?
When the subject names it themselves, whether it's you're doing it self-work or with someone else, the name they give it is tied to the amygdala in their brain. And that's what we want to access, the emotional charge that's tied in there with the event or with the belief or whatever it happens to be.
And that probably explains why when you use people's actual words, it establishes better rapport.
Brilliant.
And when you change their words, you wreck the rapport because they don't resonate with that word in the same way.
Yeah, so they say anxiety, and you say, that horrible fear you have. I didn't say horrible fear. One of the worst is when someone said, I feel a bit sad, a bit down.
Oh, you're depressed.
You sound depressed. No, you can't make a freaking diagnosis like that. Okay.
All right, so that definitely is one of the things that you need to do. That explains why it works. That explains some of the common mistakes, like using the wrong word.
Well, we'll get to the mistakes.
Yeah, we'll get there. But what other
you can use it for phobias. You can use it for fears. You can use it for
habits.
Habits, yes. You can use it to overcome cravings and urges.
Yeah, motivation, procrastination.
Absolutely.
Change any bad emotion, anything that pisses you off. You had a problem with your boss, or you had a horrible fight with your spouse, or
you got a tape loop playing in your head you want to erase.
Yeah, it could be something as simple like you said, the guy cut you off in traffic and you're just irritated.
For hours, you're irritated about it.
We had a student years ago, I'm not going to name him, but actually a nice guy, but he said, I get road rage. Do you remember this one?
No.
It was a pre-conference at HypnoThoughts, and he said, I get really bad road rage, and it drives my wife crazy. And we did ADAC, and I worked with him because he didn't have a partner, and we had an uneven number or whatever. So I went over and I worked with this nice guy. And he told me later, it just completely solved it. His wife was freaking blown away. The next time he got into a situation where this would have normally triggered him to kind of fly off the handle,
right?
He just like water over his back, just
off a duck's back.
Off a duck's back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Water, not a duck.
Water under bridge, water off a duck's back.
There's water involved.
His wife says to him, like, he emailed us and he was so shocked.
I have no recollection.
Yeah, it's
a good one, though. Only because we have so many thousands.
This is going back to about 2018.
Oh, gosh, I can barely remember last week.
But I just remember it because, he just got such a great result. So there,
brilliant.
Any kind of bad emotion, something that would normally piss you off, whether it's
breaking
a specific
unhelpful habits, smoking or food addictions like this, looking to them for support.
Thanks,
as I
buddy.
raise my hand.
Thanks,
look at my look for support. Looking to them.
I appreciate
it's fantastic.
I appreciate knowing you care. All right.
Dismantle bad habits by replacing negative triggers with positive states. Overwhelm the trigger, what the feeling is that tells you it's time to eat a bag of wine gums, which I used to eat all the time, but I don't now. Look at this emotional self-regulation. I'm really pleased with this one. ADAC is a tool for managing daily emotions by transforming them into resourceful responses.
Yes, like the time when someone says something to you or looks at you a certain way, those triggers, and you would normally get all pissy and whatever. Now you can use ADAC to change that. And it doesn't mean it'll go away in one round. You might
repeat as needed,
right? Because there might be an underlying emotion. And even though you solve the immediate behavior that you used to react with, now something else floats to the surface and you give it a different name and you go, actually now I don't call it not being listened to or ignored or something like that. I call it instead, whatever. I don't know what it would be, but if the problem comes back, it's usually not actually coming back. It's something else that's bubbled up. And
that's right. It's a whole on. It's another
word and deal with it.
Treat what shows up and do thorough work. Let's look at the common mistakes. One of the most common is incomplete dissociation. You want to have them grab it, shrink it down and shove it way down over there. When we do that, the very act of shrinking it reduces its power. Pushing it far away reduces its power. Don't say, why not just put it on their hand or something? Yeah, why not just stop being a dick? How's that? How's that? Any happier? Of course you are. Of course
how you really feel.
So anyway, shrink it down. Put it down there, small and far away. By doing that, pushing it down to the floor, they are now dominating it in what in chess is called the King of Siam play.
And do you want to explain? I think this is probably on for best results. Yeah, it is under our for best results point. But the way to dissociate effectively and the way to do all of this stuff effectively is to use word painting, right? So you're not just saying, okay, just take it. Imagine this.
When you're working with someone else.
Just take it and put it over there.
Put it over there. Set it down. No, grab that sucker. Squeeze that pecker down. Shove it over there and dominate it.
Put some freaking energy into your delivery. There we go.
Now, another common mistake is a weak resource.
Yeah.
It can't be. Think of a time that, you're pretty happy.
Yeah. Think of a time where you really felt so proud of the way you tied your shoes.
Yeah. And okay, now combine them. Gee, it's still the same. Duh.
Yeah.
No surprise.
Yeah, don't put your weak fighter against the computer fighter
Muhammad Ali.
In the video game.
Yeah, that's right.
Put your
Phils.
Get your Mike Tyson or your George St. Pierre or whatever you want to.
I'm big on Hicks and Gracie.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, what about another common mistake is the failure to remove the negative feelings completely. In other words, forgetting to take it to zero, because the person will feel so much better after one round if you do it properly and thoroughly, and they choose the word that you say, oh, okay, that's enough. No, check the number. It might be a 4 and it was a 10. No, you got to take it down from a 4 to 0. Whatever it is, zero it, and then give them some positive suggestions of how great they feel now.
Yeah.
Use some.
I'll give you a nice metaphor that I like for this is a splinter. If you were to get a splinter in your finger and it starts to irritate you, and you take most of it out, you'll reduce most of the irritation.
Yeah.
But there will still be some. So why not get those tweezers and grab that whole pecker and get it all, right? All right. Just pull it all out. All right.
Okay, we'll edit all that out.
Yeah.
Look, for best results, shift the breathing too. Remember, chain of excellence, John Grinder, your performance in anything is governed by your state. Your state is controlled and predicated by your physiology. Your physiology is controlled by your breathing. Qigong, yoga, martial arts, we shift breathing in all of these to empower. So deliberately breathe. Stay relaxed as you do it. That's a human Givens distinction in the rewind technique that applies to this as well. Have the client stay relaxed as they do it. It's much more powerful.
Nice.
And check the SUDs, the subjective units of distress, from 0 to 10 before you do it and after each round. Remember, you want to zero it. Chris said use the word painting and bring in the emotion to the words, not just push it down over there, but grab it, push it down over there, dominate, something like that. Be congruent. When you're doing it, go, okay, no, push it down, and you're probably starting to feel a bit better now.
Worst.
No, the vague reading, okay, now run it again. How are you feeling now? No, get involved. Be their superhero.
There you go. Yeah, be their superhero. That's a great
Let's look at a couple of other versions. Walking with Grace and Power from NLP New Code, a John Grinder invention. Fantastic. I would use this with clients all the time when I had a therapy office in the West End of Toronto in Mississauga back in 1993.
We teach this method
30 years ago. Walking
NLP Essentials course.
We get the person, I put a hula hoop or a circle in chalk on the floor, have the person stand in it, feel their problem, everything they saw, everything they heard, everything they felt, and then step out and imagine they leave all those negative things in that circle, just quickly like that.
Yeah.
Step out suddenly. Now next to it, I have them walk up and down, swing their arms, look around.
Building that high performance state.
Anything that improves the quality of the walk, they keep. Try looking side to side. It doesn't work for me. Okay, look forward. Yeah. Not looking down. When you get them in a powerful state, walking up, down, you say, now walk without looking at it. Walk right through that chalk circle on the floor without looking at it.
Or hula hoop.
Or hula hoop. Destroy all the visuals and walk up. Now destroy all the sounds. Now destroy all the feelings. You can do this very quickly.
That's multiple rounds of collapse.
Yes. And now jump back in it and breathe. Stay in that powerful state. Now we're finishing any collapse. Notice how great you feel. Yeah. How bad is it now? It's gone. And now the beauty of this is by shifting their breathing, you're empowering them at the same time. So it's a great way of doing it.
Now we're running out of time. So here's what I'm going to suggest.
All right.
Instead of talking specifically about the Swiss pattern, the Swiss chalet pattern, the Swiss chalet pattern. That's going to be really annoying for me now. The Swish pattern, which is a classical NLP intervention that you can do on yourself or with others. How about we leave it to you, the listener, the watcher, to comment and tell us how the swish pattern maps across to this meta pattern.
To hear that. Yeah.
Or
an anchor collapse. An anchor collapse is one of the most obvious.
Right.
And if you think about it, an anchor collapse is really a kinesthetic swish.
So we challenge you. Leave a comment under this video on YouTube and let us know how the swish pattern, not the Swiss chalet pattern, has changed your life, and how it maps across to ADAC and also anchor collapse, just in general, anchor collapse. There we go.
Nice.
I think that takes us to the empowering question and the Metafive.
Okay, bring on the empowering question.
All right, here's your empowering question for episode 263. What's an issue that comes to mind, be it personal or other, that I can fix today as I apply the ADAC method to it? And notice how awesome I feel. And what am I waiting for?
Brilliant.
That's right.
And the Metafive, one better than the Metaphor. Did I ever tell you the story of gyprock?
No.
Do you know what gyprock is?
Like sheetrock? Yeah.
Gyprock is like a wall, like plasterboard or something, drywall, right?
Yeah, drywall.
Gyprock. I had heard that name when I was in high school, and I didn't know anything about it. But I had a dream, Chris, a remarkable dream.
Oh, no.
And when I had to do shop in grade 7, we went to Clairley Public School, not far from where I live now. But then for grade 8, we had to go to Buchanan Public School, and that was some distance away. Brian McDowell and I would ride our bikes there, have shop class, and drive home. In my dream, there was a ghost, a dead kid who haunted Buchanan School, and his name was Gyprock. Gyprock.
Gyprock.
And the thing was, if Gyprock saw you before you knew him, you die. It was a curse on you. You had to find him before he found you. And someone had warned me, you've got to find Gyprock. You're going to be cursed if you don't. So I'd gone to Buchanan School, my bike, parked it outside, and it's raining. I'm a teenager. And Bob Buchanan at Buchanan School, who went on to be a cop, one of my fellow students, comes over to me. He looked real serious. And he shook my hand. He said, it's been nice knowing you, Mike. I said, how come, Bob? And he said, Gyprock's looking for you. I was freaking terrified. And he walked away. And I thought, I better start walking to the school. I got to see him first. And in a moment of horrible recognition, I realized that Bob Buchanan was Gyprock. He'd already found me. I was
that's
cursed.
Horrible.
And then I woke up.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Brain Software Podcast. I'm Chris Thompson. This is Mike Mandel. And
Not acting like a wanker. So.
this was a tree of an episode with guitars and rivers of content that will help transform your life. So we hope you enjoyed it. We want to hear from you on how you use ADAC to help yourself and others. This is an amazing technique, so definitely use it. And if you're so inclined, you may as well visit our website, MikeMandelHypnosis.com, and you can check out the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy, which starts with a free test drive. You don't even need to give us payment details.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Low risk, low pressure way to check it out to see if we resonate with you as far as hypnosis training, and you can learn a lot of cool stuff. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks once again, and good night.
Lucci.